Welcome to Basically a Therapist, but without the degree. I am your host, Lauren Larson, and thank you so much for being here in episode 12 of season 2. We are just trucking right along through this season. And so today I want to talk about the difference between kindness and niceness. And listen, I didn't even realize there was a difference for probably most of my life. I thought they were synonyms, and I just realized over the past couple of years, I just started noticing that there are people who are nice. They're likable, agreeable, they smile, they're gentle, and yet something feels off, right? Like it feels a little off. And I'm not saying those people are off. I'm just saying sometimes it feels off. And then there are some people where they're kind, and sometimes they're not always the most socially smooth, but you walk away from them feeling loved, maybe supported, seen, strengthened, and sometimes convicted in the best way possible. And so I went to start a note in my phone about this topic. And then I realized I had already had one from a year ago. Apparently, this has been on my mind for quite a long time. And so then recently, my husband was listening to a Matthew McConaughey reel where he was talking about this very same topic. And I was like, yes, Jesus, I remember this is something we want to talk about. So let's do it. So here we are. And so the Bible lists kindness as one of the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians 5:22 through 23. But, the fruit of the Spirit is love, it's joy, it's peace, it's patience, it's kindness, gentleness, self-control. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. But do you notice what's not listed? Niceness. That's not on the list. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I find that interesting because culturally we've elevated niceness to almost the top of what it means to be a good Christian. Be nice, be polite, don't be mean, don't upset people. Stay away from conflict, avoid conflict. And for a lot of us, especially women, niceness was taught as the standard for us. We've just been taught that we are expected to be nice. But what was interesting is that the Bible doesn't call us to be nice. It calls us to be kind. And quite honestly, they're not the same. And I was actually just doing a quick search on Google before, and I want to show you what I've found, and it doesn't have to mean that this is fact, but I just thought this was interesting. So I said, is there a verse in the Bible that has the word nice in it or talks about niceness? And it says, no, the modern English word nice does not appear in most Bible translations. And then it kind of gives me, it says, why nice is not in the Bible. The word nice has a history of changing meanings. In older English, it could mean foolish. It could mean ignorant or faint-hearted. And then the lack of a modern synonym. So the modern meaning of nice as pleasant or agreeable developed much later and was not a common concept in the biblical languages which the Bible was translated. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to do a quick search to see if nice at all was in the Bible. And I couldn't think of it, but I'm not, I don't have the word memorized, so I'm not some expert here, but I wanted to do a quick search, and that was it. I just thought that was really interesting. But, niceness is about being pleasant. It's agreeable, comfortable, well-liked, non-confrontational. And kindness is about love. It's about truth. It's about integrity. Kindness is rooted in valuing what is actually good for someone and not just what makes them feel good. Yeah. So one is surface and one is deep. One avoids discomfort and one is willing to step into discomfort for the sake of love. Think about it. A lot of us have had hard conversations in our lives. We've had somebody come talk to us about something hard or difficult, and maybe it was done really loving and really kind, but it wasn't nice. You didn't walk away from it feeling nice, feeling comforted, feeling whatever. And that's how God is a lot with us too. Like when he is calling us out on our stuff, when he is convicting us, yes, it's gentle. It doesn't always feel nice. A lot of times it doesn't feel nice. At least in the major moments in my life where I have felt convicted, it's not nice, but it is good and it is kind and it is offering growth. It's offering improvement. And it's telling me where I'm coming up short, but it's gentle about it. And so one of these protects your image and one of these protects your integrity. And I want to focus on Jesus for a second here because in the Bible, Jesus, if he was nice, he would have never flipped tables. He would have never called out the Pharisees. He would have never told the truth to the rich young ruler. He would have never confronted the woman about her past and her patterns and her current lifestyle. He would have never corrected his disciples. And yet he did because he was kind. And kindness tells the truth with love, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, but always, kindness always has the goal of healing. It has the goal of restoration. It has the goal of freedom. You know, niceness is often about avoiding discomfort, and kindness is often about embracing that discomfort for the sake of love. And it's such a beautiful difference. Like, yes, it's great to be nice, but if you're sacrificing truth for your image, that's unkind. Because when someone is kind, it comes from a real place in them. There is sincerity behind it, and you know it. You can absolutely tell the difference when somebody is coming at you with kindness versus niceness. Because kindness says, I care about you. I care about your well-being, even though this is uncomfortable for both of us sometimes. Whereas niceness says, I care about how I'm being perceived. And those are two different motives right there. Massively different motives. Kindness is more of like an inward to outward, whereas niceness is outward to inward. One is flowing from love. One is flowing from security. One is flowing from grace. One is flowing from God. And the other one is flowing from needing validation. Sometimes it's wrapped up in pride. You know, Ephesians 4:15, it says, speak the truth in love. Speak the truth in love. Love and truth equal kindness. Truth without love, that's harsh. But love without truth is niceness. It looks sweet. It tastes sweet. It feels good. But there's nothing there. It's superficial. There's no nourishment in it. Can you feel the difference there? There have been times in my life where I have held back what I've really needed to say, wanted to say, because I didn't want to upset other people. I didn't want to be misunderstood, or I was just avoiding conflict. And to be honest, this is something that I am still working through. And in these situations, I leave the conversation feeling, I feel nice. I look nice. I'm seemingly nice, but I'm also like frustrated and I feel unseen and I feel resentful. And here's what I realized is that my niceness is actually dishonesty. It's inauthenticity, if you will, since we just talked about that a couple of weeks ago. It's not necessarily lying, but you're withholding the truth out of fear because you're operating from a place maybe of trauma. You're operating from a place of fear. You're operating from a place of rejection. And that's not from God, because God doesn't operate out of fear. He doesn't operate out of inauthenticity. It's not love. And the Bible says that perfect love casts out all fear in 1 John 4:18. Perfect love casts out fear. So if my niceness is rooted in fear, that's not love, which means it's not kindness. Niceness, it tends to be reactive, whereas kindness is intentional. Niceness says, let's make sure that you're comfortable. Whereas kindness says, I care about your well-being, your growth, your spiritual health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, whatever it is, your wholeness. Two vastly different things. Sometimes kindness can look like having hard conversations, saying no, setting a boundary, telling someone you're hurting yourself and you don't see it, or choosing not to rescue someone from the consequences of their decisions. We talked about that a few weeks ago too. That is kindness. Because if you are robbing people from true healing, true growth, that's not kindness, that's niceness. And that's you operating out of a fear of discomfort or just fear, period. Proverbs 27:6 says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, profuse are the kisses of an enemy. And I want to pause right there because the Bible says sometimes a friend is going to hurt you. But hurt is faithful. It's for your good. Meanwhile, the one who only gives the kisses is the one who only makes you feel good, can actually be your enemy, an enemy to your well-being mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. That's a big difference. Two different operating models right there. Niceness, it soothes. But kindness, it heals. It's deeper. Man, I hope you guys are getting this. Kind people, they can say no. Kind people, they disappoint people sometimes. They're able to say, I love you, but I can't do that for you right now. I love you, but I'm not going to lie to you. I love you, but I'm not going to let you stay this way. I love you, but this is not good for you. And it's not good for the people around you. Niceness can often lead to people pleasing. Hello. Resentment. Hello. Burnout. Hello. Overgiving. Yep. Overfunctioning. Yep. Saying yes when you really mean no, which is a lack of integrity if your words don't align with what you're thinking and feeling. If you're saying one thing and doing another, if you're saying one thing and feeling another just for image, just for validation, that's a lack of integrity. You know, kindness stands on honoring God. It stands on honoring you. And it stands on honoring self. And those all coexist together. Oh, man. So this is where I want it to get real for you right now. I want you to ask yourself, when I'm being nice, what am I trying to get? Am I trying to get approval? Am I trying to get safety? Am I trying to get peace? Control? Avoiding conflict? Like, I really want you to sit with that. Like, what is the motive behind being nice? Because niceness often has hidden motives, whereas kindness doesn't, because it's the truth. Kindness says, I will do what is loving even if you're going to misunderstand me. Kindness is mature. And I want to talk about how kindness and niceness impact the relationships. Niceness creates pleasant relationships. They're smooth, they're polite, little to no conflict, but can probably be a little shallow. Whereas kindness creates depth. There's deep relationships happening. There's truth. There's trust. There's a mutual respect. There's growth. There's healing. There's transformation. You know, niceness keeps the peace and kindness makes peace. Nice says, it's fine. Kindness says, actually, that hurt my feelings. Can we talk about that? Niceness says yes to everything. And kindness says, I can't commit to that, but thank you for asking. Niceness avoids hard conversations. Kindness has the hard conversations with gentleness, with love, with truth. Niceness prioritizes comfort, whereas kindness prioritizes wholeness. And so I have some more questions for you to reflect by yourself, journaling, with God, whatever that, all of the above, with another person, with a therapist, whatever that looks like. But again, am I being nice or am I being kind right now? Am I avoiding truth because I don't want to upset someone? Where is fear influencing how I'm showing up in my relationships? And if you really sit with God on that one's really going to come out. That's going to highlight some stuff for you. Is my agreement actually dishonesty? What relationships in my life needs kindness with truth? What relationships are you not showing up in with kindness, but you're only showing up with niceness? Sit in that. Sit in that discomfort. I want you to sit in that. These are really important questions because we want to be people of integrity. We want to be people that say the truth with love and kindness. And let me tell you what, you're going to attract people that will give that in return. And it's just you guys giving back and forth to each other. Iron sharpens iron. And so when you two are there's a mutual respect and you know that it's a safe, kind relationship where you two can talk to each other and have these hard conversations, you're sharpening each other. Because this world needs fewer nice Christians, nice people. We need more kind ones. We need people with a backbone. We need people who are going to love deeply and who are going to speak truth with grace, who are okay with being misunderstood if it means being obedient. Niceness is easygoing, but kindness is Christlike. I hope that this is sitting with you right now. I hope that this has helped you see the difference. I hope that this has brought about an awareness for you in your life. I hope that you start to see things differently and that you can show up more authentically for yourself, for others. Because our goal in this life here on earth is to bring heaven on earth and to reflect Jesus to others. And we do that by being like him. We got to look like him. We got to sound like him. We got to act like him. And Jesus wasn't necessarily nice, but he was kind. And there is such a faith in that. There's such a trust in that. Like when you have somebody that you know is speaking life to you and they're speaking it in a loving, direct way, man, there is nothing like that. Where you're like, wow, this hurts, but it like feels good too all at the same time. It's very interesting. Like I needed to hear this. Find those people, but more importantly, be that person. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.